Beware, beyond this point, there be spoilers. Greetings, anime addicts and cartoon fanatics, and welcome to another installment of Cole's Animation Analysis. How to Train Your Dragon surprised many people when it first came to theaters. It was one of DreamWorks Animation Studios' more serious works, abandoning the days of Shrek where parodies and puns were oversaturated in every film. It was even said to be a 3D movie that outdid Avatar's 3D visuals. As someone who had a small obsession with dragons when he was younger, I was excited for this film, and it did not disappoint. But with like a lot of things I like, one trip to a website forum can depress the heck out of you. I noticed people complaining about the movie, calling it generic and simple, but what surprised me the most is that some of the hate was directed to one character, Astrid. I remember seeing one artist's work on DeviantArt, where they drew themselves talking smugly to Astrid, saying, "So, you fell in love after a simple flight around the village? Geez, how deep." This comment on Astrid's character to me was so ignorant that it angered me, and it is the one thing that got me started on my very first animations analysis blog, which now you are seeing in video form. I will try to explain why I think Astrid is a much deeper and more complex character than people give her credit for. In our first scene, we're introduced to Hiccup, our protagonist of the movie. In our first scene with Astrid, Hiccup watches in awe as she calmly walks away from an explosion.
And Astrid.
Cool guys don't look at explosions. The flames are hot, but their heart is chill.
Okay, so right off the bat, we can see that Astrid to Hiccup, and possibly everyone else, is seen as a tough, strong, and independent loss who doesn't take crap from anyone. That is what most people take from the opening scene. But what most miss is what happens later in that scene after Stoic the Vast, Hiccup's dad, criticizes him for running around when he shouldn't be. As he is sent away and walks by the other teens who are mocking him, we see Astrid sitting down with a sort of somber look on her face. She seems to be in a deep thought about something. And when she looks up when Hiccup passes, her look has more sadness to it, if ever so slightly. The other teens look at Hiccup with discontented glances, but she doesn't. Also interesting to note that as Gobbler slams down one of the teens playfully, Astrid withdraws a bit as if it startled her. It's here that I notice that there might be something hidden in her personality that isn't revealed yet. Something is bothering her, and we're left to wonder what that might be. I have a theory for what's going on here, but I'll save that for later. Later on, the teenagers enroll in dragon training as their parents ship off in search for the dragon's nest. As Astrid and the others are working on honing their skills, Hiccup is building his relationship with the Night Fury he caught, Toothless. In doing so, he ends up being late for the dragon training meetings and screwing up during battles with dragons. On one of his first times being late, he gets this second look from Astrid. At first it seems like she shows some interest in him arriving, but then her expression changes to loathing. It's clear she's getting turned off by his lack of effort in draggon training. It seems odd though, given that she has such a kinder expression in the first look she gives him when he was causing a mess in the dragon's raid. This reason is revealed later when they're training with the deadly Natter. It is here we learn about what has been driving Astrid the whole time.
Is this some kind of a joke to you? Our parents' war is about to become ours. Figure out which side you're on.
Astrid realizes the burden that is being placed upon her. As her parents go off to fight the dragons in some distant land, she has to carry the burdens of a village and the fights with dragons along the rest of the teens. That is, in my theory, why she had that somber look on her face in the first scene. The pressure was starting to show, and she was obviously scared of the struggles she would have to face. I think that as the training took its course, her steady progression had helped her build her confidence some, and seeing Hiccup now, she feels angry that he hasn't taken the responsibility seriously. In the second half of the film, Hiccup has learned a lot about dragons while working with Toothless. He then uses his knowledge to improve his dragon training and outperform everyone, including Astrid. He gains attention and respect among the teens and becomes a prodigy in the village. As this happens, Astrid's looks have changed once again. She now looks at Hiccup with extreme loathing. You can look at this two ways. One is a simple premise of jealousy, seeing how the attention has gone from her to Hiccup very rapidly. The other way to look at this, however, is the idea of the complex. I first learned about this idea from the anime His and Her Circumstances. In this show, the discussion of the main character's dislike for another comes up.
いいの？何が？ゆきのお姉ちゃん、その人のこと嫌いだったの？私お姉ちゃんがその人に構うのってコンプレックスあるからかと思ってた。確かにそういえばコンプレックスだな。お姉ちゃん、コンプレックスっていうのはさ、裏返せば自分が絶対になり得ないものに対する憧れなんじゃないのかな。あれ？ 確かにあの頭の良さや感じの良さそうなみんなから好かれる性格とかって、あれはいつも自分が近づこうとしていたイメージというより理想のイメージにぴったり。
I feel that something similar is going on here with Astrid. She can't understand how someone like Hiccup is overshadowing her since he doesn't act like your typical Viking. She sees there is something different about how he is doing this, but she can't understand it, and so it results in hatred and bitterness. And now the next part is the thing that really gets under my skin when discussions of Astrid come up. People love to talk about how, quote, Astrid had such a quick change in her heart simply from seeing her village up in the clouds. Or, quote, she fell in love and kissed Hiccup after a generic carpet ride. I can't understand how many people misunderstand the purpose of this scene. It deals not with Astrid and Hiccup, but with her and Toothless. You notice how when Astrid and Toothless first encounter each other, a standstill occurs when both are weary of each other, and it's only Hiccup that prevents the battle from happening. That is because Toothless sees Astrid as nothing more than another violent Viking, and Astrid only sees Toothless as a vicious dragon. When Hiccup tries to change Astrid's view of Toothless by taking her on a ride, Toothless tears violently through the sky, messing with Astrid.
Usually like this. Oh no. And now the spinning. Thank you for nothing, you useless reptile.
But in the chaos,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just get me off of this thing.
at this point she is at her lowest and has dropped her tough Viking persona. That's when Toothless calms down, and when Astrid opens her eyes. This magic carpet ride, as some try to compare it to, was not a change of heart for Astrid towards Hiccup, but towards Toothless. In this dragon ride, Hiccup and Astrid discover the dragon's nest and the truth of why the dragons would raid their village for food. When arriving back to the cove, Astrid is hyped about the discovery.
Let's find your dad.
No.
But Hiccup immediately does not like the idea.
They'll kill Toothless. No, Astrid, we have to think this through carefully.
Hiccup, we just discovered the dragon's nest. The thing we've been after since Vikings first sailed here.
Notice she still has the mindset of a Viking here. She thinks of conquering her foes, the war against the dragons for centuries, the same thing that every other Viking she has ever met has been raised on.
And you want to keep it a secret? To protect your pet dragon? Are you serious?
And Hiccup responds in a way that Astrid does not see coming. He simply turns to her and says,
Yes.
and then we get this look from Astrid. That look right there says everything. For as long as Astrid has known Hiccup, all she has ever seen him do is fail. He's always stumbling on his words, making a fool of himself, and shields away when his opinions are confronted. But Hiccup has done something here Astrid has never seen him do before. He looked her straight in the eyes, without hesitation, without a stuttering word, and calmly made a stand for what he believes in. And the amazement is clearly displayed on Astrid's face. If you have to pinpoint when Astrid starts to fall for Hiccup, or has any change of heart, that moment is here. When she saw in him for the first time, real strength. Also, many people point to Astrid kissing Hiccup on the cheek here as making her too easy. But really, since when is a kiss on the cheek an immediate sign for falling madly in love with someone? Astrid just didn't know how to properly apologize for things, or to comfort him at the time, so she simply just kissed him on the cheek as a sign of trust. And now for my absolute favorite scene of the film. The last scene worth noting is when Astrid is talking with Hiccup after the truth is found out by the village. Toothless has been captured and the Vikings leave for the dragon's nest. The scene is my favorite for the dialogue and what it means and the whole point to not only Hiccup's character, but what is revealed if you think more deep about it.
It's a mess. You must feel horrible. You've lost everything. Your father, your tribe, your best friend.
Thank you for summing that up. Why couldn't I have killed that dragon when I found him in the woods? Would have been better for everyone.
Yep, the rest of us would have done it. So why didn't you?
You worry. Remember, a dragon will always go for the kill.
So why didn't you?
Why didn't you?
I don't know. I couldn't.
That's not an answer.
Why is this so important to you all of a sudden?
Because I want to remember what you say right now.
Oh, for the love of it, I was a coward. I was weak. I wouldn't kill a dragon.
You said wouldn't that time.
Okay, whatever. I wouldn't. 300 years, and I'm the first Viking who wouldn't kill a dragon.
First to ride one, though. So...
I wouldn't kill him because he looked as frightened as I was. I looked at him, and I saw myself.
He looked in him and saw himself. Remember how earlier I had a theory to the first look we see Astrid give Hiccup as he walked away in the first scene? I think the same thing that Hiccup mentions here was happening. Astrid was scared by the burdens that would be placed on her, and when she looked up at Hiccup, she saw he was scared too. She saw herself. I also feel this is what happened with Toothless when Astrid got scared when he was flying in a wild fashion. He saw she was just as scared. In closing, I feel Astrid's character was truly created as a reflection of Hiccup's character. They have different views on the Viking culture and were taking two separate paths, but they were both scared teenagers with a lot of pressure upon them. Through Astrid, the animators tried to give it characterization through actions and facial expressions, instead of dialogue. I feel they did that wonderfully with Astrid. She's a much deeper character than most give her credit for. They say you can't take things at face value, but with Astrid, that is the very thing that expresses her. You can find such depth there, you just have to learn how to look for it. I'm Koyurlau, analysis complete.